Hi everyone, welcome to the fifth all stakeholder meeting. Thank you for joining us today in person, and hello to those joining us via webinar. Next slide, please. So just some quick updates, how to listen in. So this webinar will be listen in only. You can call in using your phone or through your computer. Next slide, please. How to ask questions. So in person, we do have the index question cards. They're working outside, but later on, if you have questions and you need an index card, just raise your hand and I can come to you and hand you a card. For those who are on joining us via webinar, you can type your questions. There's a chat feature. Type your questions there, and at the very end, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. And if not, then we'll go ahead and post them on the website after the meeting. Just a reminder, this all stakeholder meeting will be recorded. All of the materials and the recorded webinar will be posted on the CDFS CalFresh SSI website page. Next slide. We already have our sixth all stakeholder meeting scheduled. That, mark your calendars, is May 14th, same time, 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Probably back in this room, and then also you can join via webinar. And I think that's it for our announcements and logistics. I will hand it over to Tim McCoy-Wade, CalFresh and Nutrition Branch Chief.
And next slide. Welcome, welcome. Today we are about 80 days away from our implementation of CalFresh expansion to serve our SSI clients, and we have a lot to cover. As always, we'll start by thanking all of the partners who are making this possible. Go over the policy. It's always good to review this in some ways simple, in some ways complicated policy. Again, we've all agreed on 4 strategies: client-centered, outreach, customer experience operations, and policy. We'll bring everybody up to date on what we've done and what we're doing. Big finish with the slide of the next final big things to land before summer, and then open it up for your Q&A. Next slide. So we are partnership in focus. Again, we're going to have several new voices here sharing the partnerships that are under development and growing and changing in new ways. But I always want to start with thanking the 2 key partnerships that are making all this work possible. One is the Californians for SSI, the Client Advocacy Coalition. That is a large part of why we're here and a large part of the plan and implementation. And of course, our other central partner is the County Welfare Directors Association of California. So pleased to have staff in the room, and of course, we know counties on the call and hard at work. Next slide. So the policy, and you're going to notice my transition in language, the policy was the reversal of SSI cash out that everybody worked on about a year ago. And what this did was we are now, since 1974, since the creation of SSI, SSP, there's been a prohibition on SSI and SSP clients receiving CalFresh. And that was reversed last year in the budget. Probably the most important thing, if you take nothing away and tell nothing else to your friends and family, is that there is no change to SSI, SSP. And you'll see as we go into our communications, we're not really calling it the reversal of cash out outside of these small policy circles, because clients and the public, that is confusing. It sounds like we're taking cash, we're taking something from SSI. It is what the policy was called, reversal of cash out, and those of us who've been working on it since approximately 1974 know it is that. But certainly as we move forward, the core message we want to say to people is we're expanding CalFresh to people on SSI. We are not changing SSI, SSP, and then you see that CAPI bar, the SSI equivalent program for immigrants. They will actually come up to equity with SSI, so SSI and CAPI will all be the same starting this summer, same benefit amount, and able to apply for CalFresh. Next slide. The equally important part of expanding CalFresh, not touching SSI, SSP, equity to CAPI, was what about those families who are already with us on the CalFresh program but have an excluded individual or more because of the SSI rule. And as they're come into the CalFresh household and their income and deductions are counted, there might be a change in their CalFresh benefits. Well, there probably will be a change in their CalFresh benefits. Some will have an increase because of deductions. Some will have a decrease, and some may even income off. And so the legislature and the governor created 2 new state-funded food programs, Supplemental Nutrition Benefit, affectionately known as SNB, and Transitional Nutrition Benefit, TNB. SNB will be for those who are still on CalFresh after the excluded member is added to their household, but see that decrease. It's not dollar for dollar. It's a table an estimate of what is about right to try to hold harmless, but it's not dollar for dollar calculation. And then T&B is for folks whose CalFresh case is closed because they income out. They will only be on T&B. Again, from the client, both are food benefits, both are on the EBT card, accepted at the same grocery stores and farmers markets, so should experience it as the same food assistance, but of course different reporting. Marty and I were just talking about how this is simple and complicated at the same time. The headline is expansion of CalFresh for SSI, but there's important points below it in terms of SSI, SSP, CAPI, SMB, and TNB. So thanks for letting us walk through that each and every time. Next slide, please. So when this happened last summer, we immediately got to work with the stakeholders, and again, brainstormed with CWDA and C4S. Do you say C4SSI? Not really. Yeah, Californians for SSI, on how to tackle this, and came up with our bi-monthly all-stakeholder meeting, which you are at now. Next one's May, and then 4 advisory groups to have a small working table: outreach and customer experience, data technical automation, and again, everything you'd ever want to know is posted at CalFresh SSI page on CDSS, and we do our best to keep that update on a rolling basis. Next slide. We realized we need to organize our work in 4 key strategies. First and foremost, clients have to be at the center at every moment, engaging and empowering client voices. Second, targeting outreach, so folks know about this change and understand this change. 3, how can we streamline the customer experience to enrollment? It's great if we do outreach and people are aware about this, but how can they actually be connected with the food benefit? And 4th, all of it rests atop a foundation of policy, automation, and training to make sure it's done accurately and effectively. Next slide. All right, so where are we with our 4 strategies? Actually, I love this picture. It's both my Senator, Nancy Skinner, and I had the pleasure of being on a panel with Mr. Williamson last week, the advocate to the left of Senator Skinner, testifying, sharing his story about how powerful this is. And as we've done throughout, client stakeholders, client stories, client journey mapping, and client data work has been at the core. We're going to start this meeting. Next slide. We're very privileged to be joined by 2 client leaders, both from Dogfight, one of my favorite acronyms ever, Disability Organizing Group for Initiating Total Equality. We have Helen O'Connell, who is the Dogfight president, and modestly is the board chair of Resources for Independent Living, the Sacramento County Independent Living Center. So we got that out of her. So Helen's going to begin, and then she'll be followed by her colleague, Shara Rashid, the IHSS committee chair. So thank you both for joining us.
Hello, my name is Helen O'Connell, and I believe that the CalFresh benefit would help people on SSI by giving them an alternative to getting the food bank foods, which some people can't totally utilize, like if they have gluten-free or other health issues that require a certain diet. It would be more helpful, and I think you can get more for your money if you go to your farmer's market and get double the bucks. That would make it healthy and fresh. And I used to go to the food bank, but the food bank's foods were so limited to what I could eat that I had to make hard choices on what to buy and what to supplement the food bank foods with. I've been on SSI since 1984 and have had a hard time finding good fresh produce at a price that I could afford. And I think that no matter where you are on the scale of income, if you get your CalFresh benefits, it helps purchase foods that are healthy and can help you reach your dietary needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen. Shara.
My name is Shara Rashid, and I had off and on for a good part of my adult life before I became disabled, a lot of experience dealing with food stamps and trying to find good food. I was raising a child, and so once I got SSI, then we became a split household where everything that was his had to be labeled, and I had to eat whatever else there was available. I've actually had to become very adept at all of the sources around Sacramento where free food is available. And this is one of the things that by having CalFresh now, what that will mean is that I can use that for better protein purchase that suits my particular dietary needs, and not have to try to figure out vegetable proteins all the time and make everything balanced, and not have to spend cash that I frankly need for other things. And I think this is going to make a big difference for a lot of people, because anything, especially meat-based things, for those that do that, that's the most expensive part of the diet, and it's really, it's really necessary. And so I think this is going to make a big difference for a lot of people.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Shara. Thank you, Dogfight, for reminding us all that this is about food, but it's also about health and dignity and independence and total equality. So thank you very much. Next slide. We wanted to share a resource that our IHSS colleagues at CDSS have developed for their training academy, and these are videos about disability that we have started to use in our own convenings with counties and with staff, and we commend them to you highly. There's a series of them. They're short. Watch them, bring them, share them. They're a great way to, again, continue to bring voices to every conversation you're having about SSI and CalFresh. Wanted to also, next slide, recap the work of the data technical group continues to make sure we have a client data dashboard, and to be clear, aggregate. It's about what's happening with clients, but of course it's no personal information. We have a longstanding CalFresh data dashboard on our website. It's getting a facelift just in time, moving to just Tableau. More beautiful. We love Excel. We do love Excel, but we're moving to something more user-friendly and interactive, and then adding a button with SSI. I see it says SSI cash out. It won't say that. It'll say expansion to SSI. So this is in beta testing. The data technical group is helping us work through that, so we can have information as best we can about what's happening as we roll out this expansion. Next slide. The other piece that we just heard about, of course, we've mentioned before, we're making history here, bringing nutrition to hundreds of thousands of seniors and people with disabilities. And in some ways, it's a bad history. We're the only place in the country that doesn't do this and hasn't done this for years. So there's enormous research interest in measuring the impact of this change on health and well-being and hospitalizations and homelessness and all kinds of impacts. So several of our leading California researchers have proposals, and nothing's been finally approved, where we would be really looking at the impact of CalFresh or SNAP nationally on our communities. So very excited that these are in the works, and encourage more, again, going through our data group. Okay, next strategy, next slide. Targeting our outreach for awareness and assistance. We've been working hard to build a giant partner network to get a kit ready of materials for them to use, to identify application assisters who don't just spread the word, but also can take that extra step to assist with enrollment. And then, as we heard at the very first stakeholder meeting, please don't give me a brochure. Please make sure the person's actually enrolled. How can we make it easy for someone to call, click, come in, and actually apply for CalFresh? So, next slide. We are very lucky. We're building off our strong foundation. I'm going to do it in reverse because I always do it the other way. 211 San Diego, and we're especially excited. We're expanding their bilingual services. I believe it's in the 7 counties that serve a significant proportion of the state. We're expanding our bilingual application assisters there. Of course, we have our health partner with Redwood Community Health Coalition, Code for America, our digital partner, Catholic Charities, and California Association of Food Banks, our charitable partners, and Cal State Chico. I'd lost count of how many campuses they're on doing college student outreach, but 50, the room says. So all over the state enrolling students of all ages in CalFresh. Next slide. But for this community and this expansion, we knew we wanted to expand to partners who have deep relationships, deep expertise in serving this community. So we are in the process of executing agreements with 3 state departments, Department of Aging to empower the area agencies on aging to do outreach and assistance, Department of Rehabilitation to have independent living centers. We heard from them last time. Today we're going to hear from the next 2 that are in development, the Department of Developmental Services and their network of regional centers. And we already are in contract with Department of Public Health. They're our longtime nutrition partnership, and they've got exciting work they're going to tell us about with our nutrition partners. And then, of course, our federal partnership with Social Security Administration, partnering and executing their national requirement to screen and accept applications for SSI-only households for SNAP. So getting ready to execute that as well. So to tell us more about these new partnerships, next slide, I'm pleased to introduce Jackie Richardson in the room, and I believe Caroline Kurtz is on the phone from CDPH to tell us about their plans.
Quite sure. For those of you on the phone, there's a couple microphones and a podium, and I can't be at all 3 at once. So I'm sure you'll let the folks in the chat box know if you're having any trouble hearing me today. But thank you for inviting me today. I'm Jackie Richardson. My supervisor, Dr. Carolyn Kurtz, is on the phone. We are from the California Department of Public Health, and we partner with the California Department of Social Services to provide nutrition education to those who are eligible for CalFresh. And so they have invited us to participate and support this work by connecting with their partners that are doing the enrollment work, or the actual filling out the application activities, so that we can provide in real time nutrition education as well. So not only do you get the resources that you need to have the healthy diet and the elements of the healthy diet that we've heard that are so important, but you also get support materials to assist you. And we're excited to share that we will be meeting with the Department of Rehab and our California Department of Aging partners, hopefully in the next month. We're in doodle poll fun right now, trying to get the schedules together. So that we can identify resources that would be most workable with the audiences that they serve and what they hear are needed. And then we will work with them to get those materials to an on-site location. So I kind of jumped to the second bullet. We'll also be available to train Department of Rehab and Department of Aging staff who are providing that application assistance on basic principles of nutrition education. If they feel that would be necessary, we're able to activate our staff of registered dietitians to provide that subject matter expertise and give folks a little, nutrition 101. So not only will they help folks walk through the application, but they'll also be able to give a little bit of nutrition education along with the materials as well. So we want them to be able to walk away with something tangible. But what I was specifically asked here to share today was a little bit about our county nutrition action partnerships, which are county coalitions done at the local level for all USDA-funded projects as well as partners. And we refer to those as CNAP, County Nutrition Action Partners, also plans and coalitions. So we're excited to say that there's been a lot of strong movement amongst the County Nutrition Action Partnerships So many have already reported that they've already connected, likely with many of representatives from your agencies, food policy councils, Department of Social Services, Department of Aging, have come to these coalition meetings and talked about the CalFresh expansion, talked about the opportunities to activate local partners and get the information out so that potentially eligible individuals to receive the benefits would know about those services and know where to go. And so we could really amplify the work that you all are doing in the room today. So the local coalitions are definitely on board with sharing messages and materials. So whether it's through their direct client interactions or through social media, posters, flyers, handouts, anything. They're ready and willing to be partners in amplifying the message of these new services. Next month, actually, all of the Nutrition Action Partnership coordinators, so the staff assigned to all of these coalitions, have their monthly training, and the CalFresh expansion will be the focus of that. So we'll give them the information that we have in the moment, and we'll continue to provide them updates as we get that, so that they are at the ready to educate partners. So some highlights that they've shared with us, and there's quite a few, so I just selected a couple counties to let you know that things are moving. Alameda County has connected with their social services agency and their area agency on aging, and those two organizations are going to be presenting at the March meeting, and they are going to be participating in a special training that the social services is going to be doing on that SSI expansion. So Alameda County is partnered, they're activated, and they have training opportunities available. Contra Costa County, so nearby as well, the Food Security Subcommittee has already started alerting partners that they work with that the CalFresh expansion activities are happening, and they are connecting with partners to distribute materials once they're available. They also are hosting a few senior spring into health events and outreach at 2 farmers markets in May, and they'll be making this information available there. Nevada County is going to be inviting Department of Social Services outreach staff to attend the event, and they're also going to be sharing with them potential locations for where they may be able to recruit potential participants in the program. Merced has made arrangements to work with the USDA food distribution site, specifically the senior brown bag food distribution, to provide not only nutrition education materials, but also information on the expansion. And then I have about 2 more counties I'd like to update on if I have some time. Looks like I do. Plumas County also is going to be hosting Senior Summit. So one of the trends that I'm seeing not only is the availability to provide materials, education, willingness to do social media, but also connecting with senior summits that are happening throughout the state. There also, Plumas is planning to provide flyers for adult protective services, in-home health support services, and senior nutrition, in addition to putting a PSA in the local newspaper, which is kind of exciting. And then San Bernardino is also taking the USDA food distribution approach. They're particularly interested in supplying nutrition information on Rethink Your Drink or healthy beverages, which is particularly important for this audience, and they're connecting with senior centers and working with their Facebook account and social media. So lots of partners are at the ready. We are getting the word out. We know it's coming. We're building partnerships, and when we get more specific information, flyers, posters, materials, we will be activating those networks and getting that word out continuously over the next 18-month period. So if there are any other questions,
we'll take them at the end. Yeah, but that was an incredible update. It's really great to hear from the ground all across the state. Things are bubbling. So thank you.
Thank you.
Did Caroline want to add anything, or?
She is on mute.
All right, so she'll text us if she does. Yes. All right, and without further ado, our newest partner from DDSS, I'm thrilled to introduce Deputy Director Brian Winfield, who'll give us an update on the work with the regional centers.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to give you an update on the interagency agreement with DSS. So our department, Developmental Services, we oversee and fund the 21 regional centers here in California. To be eligible for regional center services, it's for individuals with a developmental disability that originated prior to the age of 18 and is expected to extend the entire lifetime and is a substantial handicap for the individual. So those are sort of the folks that we serve. In California, there's currently approximately 330,000 individuals who are served by regional centers, and they're located throughout the state, each of the 21 centers. Our department actually contracts with the board of directors for the 21 regional centers, and each of them is a private nonprofit entity. And the regional center then provides case management services for eligible individuals, helps to coordinate services, purchases necessary services, but a really core function as well is to ensure that prior to purchasing the service, the regional center helps the individual or the family be aware of generic resources that are available and helps them to access those generic resources. So this expansion with CalFresh is something that regional centers would, on the natural, be helping the individuals that they serve to know about and to educate them and to make sure that they can apply for the services. So the interagency agreement that we are attempting to enter into with DSS is work that would be above and beyond what regional centers already are required to do. And so it's expanding that outreach, expanding the information that they share, making sure that this information is posted prominently on their websites, that it's talked about when they meet with consumers and families, but also to hold community events where they would have individuals actually come to the regional center or to some other community site where they could do more assistance, help people apply online. We estimate that of the 330,000 people, there's approximately 140,000 individuals in regional center services who receive SSI SSP. So there's a high percentage of individuals that could potentially apply for this expansion and could also be eligible for the services. The difficulty that we face with our interagency agreement is that because the regional centers are private nonprofit entities, to get agreement amongst 21 unique entities is a little bit of a challenge. So we're trying to arrive at a place where we all can agree that these are the core functions that each center will do, and then go from there. But I just wanted to today express that our department is fully engaged, 100% behind the expansion, and willing and able to help out with all the work that needs to be done to ensure that this expansion is a success.
Yes, indeed. Everyone knows these partnerships are hard work, all the way through into that contract execution piece. So thank you to everybody who's been working on the relationships, the strategy, the program, and now the getting it done part. Next slide, please. So, wonderful. We have all these people to assist. Let's get ready. I'm very pleased that you'll be getting this week. We're having the policy webinar series is about to wrap up, not to be confused with the Access for All guest speaker webinar series. You'll get the communication before the end of this week, a series about making sure we truly are providing food for all, access for all, with guest speakers from subject matter experts, making sure we're welcoming and serving people of all sexual orientations and gender identities, people with disabilities, seniors, people in multiple languages, and welcoming immigrants, particularly at this moment, and serving our diverse communities and advancing racial equity. So very excited about the guest speaker lineup, open to all. We're encouraging all of our assisters, but all partners, all counties, anyone, please join the webinars. As always, will be recorded, posted, and for your use. And then, yes, those of you who are under contract with us, we will have a special in-person. You've been invited, Day, to go through the special onboarding for official CDSS assisters, and those folks know who you are, and that'll be happening in April. Next slide. And then again, we are working hard to upgrade our statewide tools. The call, click, come in from the state. So at call, we have long had a CalFresh info line that forwards to counties. We're upgrading the capacity of that. We're adding more languages to that, and we're making sure it rings the right number in all the counties. Good to check on. So that the call line that's promoted in statewide communication, statewide media works to get you to your county. Click, again, Get CalFresh will be offered statewide. That's our online tool to initiate a CalFresh app. And then, of course, we are working to, on our site, have a pretty cool web tool where you can find an office more quickly across the counties. Are we going to try to demo that in real time? Let's try.
I'm excited. So, right. So hi, my name is Jessica Cooper. I'm the CalFresh Outreach Manager here here at CDSS, and we have the lovely Shayna upstairs navigating. This is still in draft and test mode, just so you all know. We're working very closely with our Information Services Division here at CDSS and their developers to develop this CalFresh County Office Locator Map and make it as client and as user-friendly as possible. So right now you can see a series of different, I guess you call them green little like shadows or points on the map that locate all the various county offices. And so Shayna's going to enter our address here at CDSS headquarters, 744 P Street, and it's going to populate the nearest county offices. So I'll give her a moment to go ahead and do that. So Shayna, if you can kind of zoom in or zoom out, yeah, perfect. We're still working with our ISD team to provide, like when you click, there should be like a drop-down menu, there it goes, of the nearest county health human services offices. So as you can see, the nearest ones to this location are our Sacramento County Human Assistance Office on 28th Street here in downtown, and then the next closest is going to be in West Sacramento for Yobo County Health and Human Services Agency. So some of the upgrades that we're working on is just with the zoom in and zoom out feature for it to kind of go more closely to where the county offices are versus right now the map is focusing more on the actual location. So if someone were to enter their home address or their work address, wherever the closest county office is to where they desire to go, we want the focus to be more on that and just trying to make it more client and user friendly. We have some shadow features, so it's a little bit easier to see. We're also working with our ISD team to ensure that the map will be accessible. So more to come on that, but this is just a sneak peek of what it looks like. If you have any feedback on this map, we welcome it. You can send your feedback to the CalFresh SSI inbox. So if you have any feedback once we're finished getting through the webinar, you feel free to share as well, but just wanted to give you all a sneak peek of that.
Wow, a demo in real time worked. Thank you, Shayna and Jessica and ISD. Next slide. So the other tool, of course, is the outreach kit, the outreach kit with the flyers and the posters and all that. All of that will be unveiled at the outreach campaign kickoff. You should have received the save the date for April 25th at the California Endowment, and also will be live streamed, is the plan. And so you do not have to come in person, but you can be anywhere in the state and be part of the kickoff. And again, that's when you will have not just the statewide flyers and materials, but also the template, because as you heard, people are making their local with their local information and local assisters and local office, and that's local phone number, and that's all wonderful. But we want to have the common messaging and common look. And as part of that, also, we're going to have, as much as we love the CDSS webpage very much, we think there should be a more client-friendly, user-friendly public space for use in all this outreach and marketing and press. So we'll have that page ready as well with the kit. Before I leave, let's see, let's go to the next slide. The other big piece that's happening very soon, and this is hot off the presses, the draft postcard we got this morning. We haven't even looked at it yet. We thought we'd show it to you first. We are mailing almost the entire SSI caseload in May to let them know of this change. And so a postcard is being designed that will go out in waves in May, so we don't mail everybody on the same day, right leading up to the June 1st. All of these things you just saw, we are very lucky. Our outreach advisory group will be meeting the first week in April 9th? Yes. April 9th. And so before then and at that meeting, all of these things will be finalized, vetted, reviewed. And many of them are in multiple languages, other things like that. So between now and April 9th is really the, can I say sprint, to finalize the kit, the web page, the mailer, and the tools you saw, the Get CalFresh, the info line, and the map, so that our sisters and all of you, our partners, have everything they need to get the word out in an effective, targeted way. Well, that'll take us through June, but we did want to give you, on the next slide, a little preview of something that there's been a lot of interest and excitement about, which is radio ads, which we are planning for this summer, after we are up and rolling, and we can see where perhaps more education and awareness is needed. So we've asked our partner, Dina Weldon, who I believe is on the phone, to talk about the, from the Rescue Public Health Agency, to talk more about the thinking about radio plans. This also will come to the Outreach Advisory Group, but wanted to give you a sneak preview of radio.
Yes, thank you, Kim. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, great. Okay, the technology's working today. Okay, great. So for the radio plan, as Kim mentioned, there's quite a few things that will be involved in the outreach plan, posters and mailers and things of that nature, but it's really important to kind of add to that overall communications plan with radio, which we're very excited about. So as we mentioned, we're going to be running radio ads in the summer of 2019, and we'll nail down that date within key DMAs and key markets across California to make sure that we're informing our clients of these additional benefits that could be available to them. These will be 30-second radio ads that will run in both English and Spanish, and they will be present on the most relevant radio stations, so that will make sure that we are reaching the right audience. And there will also, which is very exciting, be the opportunity for a few live read opportunities on air that will receive as added value as well. So these live reads will also be made available in other languages such as Cantonese and Mandarin across those various radio stations whenever that is available to us. So again, we want to make sure we're as wide-reaching as possible with to make sure that we're communicating with our clients. The radio plan will run from summer through about fall time, and we are still solidifying those dates as it gets a bit closer. And as everyone probably knows, and why we're very excited about this to add it on to the plan, radio just allows us to amplify the communication and the reach to the large amount of our SSI clients in a condensed time frame, ultimately ensuring that everyone is aware of these potential new benefits. And it's really just meant to work hand in hand with that direct mail effort and the toolkit effort that Kim just mentioned. So we're looking forward to providing you with more updates in the near future as we continue to charge forward together on this SSI work alongside CDSS. So thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this great work.
Thank you, Dina. We just gave you a ton of outreach updates. So that really is where the heart of the work is the next few weeks. But I do want to take the time, next slide, to update you on both the customer experience operations work and the policy work. As you may remember, we worked together collaboratively at the stakeholder process to develop a framework of solutions and have been providing TA and peer trainings and resource kits and improving our own services since then. Next slide. This is the key piece we all came up with. That's the key to success here is call, click, come in. Do we have effective service on the phone, online, and in person? Every channel open. How can we streamline verifications? How can we be sure we are accessible across accommodation, across language, and again for caregivers who might be applying as an authorized representative? And again, collaboration is the key. Some specific shout outs to our outreach contractors as well as IHSS partners. So this framework of 6 strategies has really been driving us. Next slide. Thanks to, we had enormous potluck and everybody brought their resources in all of those, counties, advocates, national examples, other California examples to put together an online toolkit of ideas of how to work in all these areas and sample materials. This is organic. I think we added something else to it yesterday. So as you develop materials and have more, whether it's electronic signature, flexible interview, IVR, just saw some great posters on senior medical, standard medical deductions from Ventura County added to the kit. So this continues to grow and be a resource for counties. Next slide. And probably the biggest deal recently, we had what we call the roundtable, our county operations roundtable on readiness for this expansion. Thank you so much to LA County DPSS for hosting us in a community center and allowing us to be together for 2 days to hear from each other about how we are all getting ready, how the 58 counties are all getting ready in alignment with that 6-part strategy. We had the IHSS videos for client voices there, and our agenda followed all that. And we also spent some time, I'll just say, on contingency planning, on big crowds, on disasters, on health emergencies, things that happen when you serve a lot of people in a compressed period of time. So it was a really, thank you to, I think we had close to 50 counties, standing room only, over 200 people. And of course, they all got sent home with homework. Next slide. We had put out an all-county letter the week before asking for their readiness plans, either with a template that we provided or one that they're using for their own staff and board of supervisors. So Everyone's working on their county readiness plan now. The state is also writing up our readiness, including the SAWS, EBT, and SSA partnerships, and then based on those plans, technical assistance continues. CDSS was very fortunate to have in our CalFresh team 6 people whose full-time job is county technical assistance, and that's what they're doing, is full-time TA, helping folks make those connections, problem solve together, and get as ready as we can be. Okay, and last but not least, policy automation and training. I hope you're subscribed to your ACL list because boy, oh boy, and again, all of this will be on our webinar, on our webpage. Policy, our automation, our training, and our partnerships. So just to recap, I'm not going to read all on the next slide. Every ACL you could ever want is posted, claiming instructions, of course, for the additional funds that have been provided, and of course, consultation with tribal leadership. We say this every time. The other program that is expanding to serve people with SSI is our tribal partners run the food distribution program on Indian reservations, FDPIR. It's like it's a box of food program similar to the food bank program, and you have not been allowed to get FDPIR if you were on SSI. That also is ending June 1st. So we're staying in contact with our tribal partners on that. Next slide, please. Policy is very close to the end of its webinar series. If you missed them, don't worry, they're recorded and posted. And a really big plug, if you haven't, even if you have, the last one coming up is of special importance to all of us, reasonable accommodation, best practices, a partnership presentation from our Civil Rights Unit and our CalFresh unit. I really commend that one to you. We just got a little preview of it, and it's going to be great. So join us for the policy webinar series. What's left to do? Next slide. We are hustling to get our applications large print and digitally accessible by May. We need to do, and that will begin in May. We will start with the most high use, high volume forms and the high volume languages and continue to work on this in coming months to go to more forms, more notices, more languages. Data sharing agreement is being finalized. This is primarily to be able to use SSI information for SMB, TNB, right? We always can use SSI information for SNAP, but we have these new programs. We also want, our counties have asked for an individual list of everybody on SSI so they can track how they're doing. Have I gotten people for CalFresh? So we are in the process of, that has been approved. We're waiting for March to end because we want to have a good recent month of current data. And then in April, in May, close out the month, clean it up. We'll hand it to the counties as well in a secure way, of course. And automation continues, heading towards the May go live. So to sum up, as they say, what should be on your radar, what's on our radar for March, April, and May? The readiness plans are due March 22nd. The access for all webinar series is kicking off. Application assisters who are under contract will be onboarded the morning of the 25th. Everyone is invited to the campaign kickoff the afternoon of the 25th. The mailer will start rolling in May. The county list will go out in May. Data dashboard is going to start looking different in May. Automation go live in May. Next slide. And then we're launched. We are implementing beginning in June, and we will be spending the summer implementing and, of course, engaged in continuous quality improvement. It took us about a year to get here, and it will take us about a year to fully implement this change. And there will be ongoing TA, data analysis, monitoring, lessons learned, and no doubt improvements to recommend on a policy and budgetary way. So in many ways, that's just the beginning, all over again. With that, I think that's everything that CDSS and our partners had on top of mind to share with you today. And now we want to open it up to Alexis Briendes to facilitate our Q&A, both in the room and on the phone.
All righty. So for those on the phone, if you have additional questions, please send them in through the chat box. We're going to start with some questions that we received throughout the presentation. And since we have our partners from the Department of Public Health, I'll start with some questions for them. Could you please repeat the departments in Alameda County and Contra Costa County that you're working with? And then I'll ask also for Jackie to get close to this microphone over here so that everyone can hear. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Raise your hand.
Okay, so thank you for your interest. The question was, who are Alameda County and Contra Costa working with? The California Department of Public Health works with the local health department agencies both in Alameda and Contra Costa, and they in turn work with all of the USDA-funded projects in the area to support their County Nutrition Action Partnership. Specifically, the ones I mentioned in the update for Alameda County are the Alameda County Social Services Agency, the Area Agency on Aging, and the In-Home Supportive Services. Those are in addition to all of their existing CNAP members, which includes the USDA program and other partners. Contra Costa, specifically, I mentioned the Food Bank, CalFresh Outreach Team, and the Senior Food and Nutrition Champions.
And I just wanted to add to that, this is Kim. For counties and for contracted assisters, we are going to be providing you with the list in every county, so that if you are the Contra Costa Area Agency on Aging, you know who the Contra Costa application assisters are in County Welfare Department and Public Health. We'll have that shared. So that is something that we are finalizing all these lists, and that'll be part of the onboarding as well. So more to come in a systemic way.
Okay, a couple more for you while you're up front. Will any of the presentation dates or information about the presentations be available online by county through your website or anywhere else?
Through ours.
Or through ours? Yeah.
We can share the information with Department of Social Services as it becomes available. I can give you what I have, and then as we get closer,
great,
I'll get you that.
And we have a website waiting for you.
Anything that's open to all, we'd love to help promote.
Okay. No, you're not done yet. Sorry. One more. Did you mention, and can you confirm whether CDPH will be partnering with the DDS regional centers as they are with DOR and the Department on Aging?
Yes, that was just the DDS is coming on just now, but everything you said about DOR and CDA in terms of the training and the resources will also be available to DDS. Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Public Health, you are off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go to some outreach questions.
Yes.
You talked a lot about messaging specific to the expansion. Will CDSS be conducting any messaging relating to the supplemental nutrition benefit or transitional nutrition benefit programs?
That is not going to be a major part of the outreach, except two ways, I'll say. One, we want to be sure we let people know if you're already on CalFresh that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to affirmatively reach out, because at your next regular report, your county will walk you through it, okay? So we want people to know when they get this postcard that has that sentence, if your household's already, and we're working on what the sentence says. And that's both for them in terms of customer service, trying to pace the flow so we don't have everybody coming in June, so we can make sure we can serve people. And also because we don't know if it'll get them more food, get them less food, how it's going to work. So the thinking is to just let people know they don't have to apply. We also don't want people to get confused and submit a new application. So if you don't have that kind of messaging. The other thing we're doing is we're hearing from counties that some of them are creating materials of their own to tell their current clients, maybe they put with their SAR 7 or with their semi-annual report SAR 7 or their annual, and so we're collecting those models to share. So if there is effective SNBP and B messaging, we want to share that. And the third thing I thought of, we're also thinking about an SNBP and B kind of fact sheet, a little more information that could be helpful to partners who are working through that issue with a family who is already partially with us, explaining what it is, walking through the table, and so we need some more feedback from our work group and assisters about what that would look like and how that would be. But in general, I just want to be transparent. There's not a big marketing to the people who are already part of households with us, because we will see them at their normal report time and do an household edition like a normal CalFresh process, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I have a couple questions about the application assister tool. This is really more ideas or thoughts. Have you thought about adding application assister locations, or could a county reach out and ask to have an outstation or other application site added to the tool?
Yes. On the second one, yes, we absolutely need to vet this with the counties to make sure that we have this is a list we maintain of where CalFresh offices are, but if there are outstations or the reverse, there's maybe a CalWorks only office, we want to be sure we have that right. I also think we need to add a note about you can't apply in any county, you can apply in the county of residence, so people don't get confused about SAC, West SAC. So there's some county beta testing we need to do there. The application sister question is an interesting one. We have heard from our ACA veterans that it's a tricky list to maintain. And just because a food bank is where it is doesn't mean that there's an assister at that location all the time. And so we have gotten some guidance about it's hard to do. So at this point, we haven't figured out how to do it in a way that is value add. But there's a phone number that will be answered. There's a person who will be there. So we are open. I'm going to throw that conundrum back to the assisters. What is the best way to let people know when they look, oh, there are assisters in Sacramento County? That doesn't overpromise that someone will be there, will answer the phone, et cetera, et cetera. So TBD.
Yeah, we do have a list right now on our CalFresh app. We do have a list right now on our CalFresh outreach website, our CDSS website, that lists all of our current CalFresh outreach contractors by county. So at least it has their information, their website, their address, their phone number. We will be likely expanding that to our new assisters through our new contractors. But we do have that at this point, but agree with what Kim says. It can get kind of sticky, but if you have any other ideas or suggestions, let us know. We just want to let you know that resource is available right now, and if you have difficulty locating it, let us know and email calfreshssi@dss.ca.gov or calfreshaccess@dss.ca.gov.
Do you have a tool like find your condoms there or find your CalFresh outreach?
Yeah, we just want to, if it pops up the assister and it says River City Food Bank, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can call them? So Amy's in the room here, so I called them out. And that's what you think through about, if we say River City Food Bank is an assister, is the person who answers the phone ready? Is the person at the front door ready? Is every location ready? Like, it's just, yeah.
Can I just make a quick comment on that?
Yeah, if you come up.
Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing on the line, so I just want to make sure that everybody comes to the microphone.
Okay, just close enough.
Yeah.
There it is. Yes, and, okay. So Amy Dearlam, River City Food Bank here in Sacramento. So two things that we're trying to do to address this, but one idea would be to have a link somehow with that map that says if you want to look for additional places, and it would link it to your info. And then we are working, our Sacramento Task Force, we're working with 211. We've created a map of all of us to do assistance around the county as to where we're at any given point around the county. And then when you click on that dot or that pin, it opens up what days, what languages, do you have to have an appointment or is it drop-in, contact person and contact name. So we're really working with 211 to put that out and then maybe print it out for paper for those people who don't go on the website, such as seniors and whatnot.
So that's excellent. If there are other resources like that at a county level, we're happy. I love this linking and connecting. But I think your challenges in getting that set for Sac County shows you our challenges in getting it set for the state. But we're happy to link to the counties who have, that's wonderful. We'll keep brainstorming on how to do that. We definitely want to point people to assistance in a way that's meaningful.
And it's changeable. That's the other thing. Somebody's got to keep changing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Amy, for real time.
Staying on the outreach topic, as we're getting lots of questions, very positive feedback on the logo. When will the logo, not the materials, be available in case, for example, someone wanted to use it for their CalFresh Awareness Month in May?
Yes. Thank you. So just in time for the expansion of CalFresh, the CalFresh program is coming together in a unified brand, which you're seeing on our materials. A unified CalFresh brand which speaks to CalFresh Food, CalFresh Healthy Living, our nutrition services, CalFresh Employment and Training, our employment services, and CalFresh Disaster Response, our unfortunately increasingly frequent disaster food services. So those materials at this point, I'm going to write down the word tentative, is Monday, April 15th. There will be an electronic launch to everybody of now the logo is launched, it's available, it lives here, go forth and have at it. So we are hoping that with the combination of the brand launch on the 15th and the outreach kickoff on the 25th, you have what you need in May to get ready for June.
Okay, and then folks on the line were able to see the front of the postcard. Rest assured, the back of the postcard does have the June 1st date. So lots of questions about whether the postcard is going to say summer or whether it'll say June 1st. The back does specify. And when we send that out for review, you'll get the front and the back.
We haven't reviewed it, so we didn't put it on the PowerPoint yet. But yes, the group will definitely see both.
Okay. A couple of just more other questions around outreach. I'm trying to keep these in categories. For the Access for All webinar series, just confirming that the flyer with all the registration links will be sent out by the end of this week, so that's why you can't find it on our website yet. And so you'll receive it by email, but it will also be available on our website as well as the registration links by Monday. So that is coming soon. Okay, give me a second here to just take a peek at the online questions and see if there are any more related to outreach. Here's one. Have we done any thinking about connecting to larger health systems that might be able to get involved, such as Kaiser or other providers across the state?
Yes, and we have had some conversations with both DHCS about that and with individual providers like Kaiser about that, and there is a lot of enthusiasm. At this point, we understand most of their participation to be in a partner level. They'll be looking at the logos, looking at the materials, and incorporating them into their own communications as appropriate, as allowable, as voluntary. So that's the current status of that. Lots of interest, and we're just continuing to follow up to make sure they have what they need to communicate with their members.
And then can we just reiterate for the kickoff meeting that will be at the California Endowment and live streamed? I guess I just answered the question. What are the options for folks who can't attend? They can watch the live stream. So for those on the line, there'll be info about attending remotely, and all the materials will be posted as per usual.
Yeah, and I think we're looking at whether we want to do an old school conference call line as well for people who just need that ability as well, and doing a full accessibility. We want to make sure there are as many ways to participate as possible, and Cal Endowment's been a good partner in helping us set that up.
Okay. I'm about to transition to a different topic here. Let me just make sure I got all the outreach questions. Oh, here's just a quick one. Will outreach materials be shared only electronically, or will there be collateral shared with folks?
At this point, primarily digital, primarily electronic, mostly because of the high need for people want to customize. People want to say their local information, local assisters, local piece. We are, this is also for the outreach group, we are thinking that the one piece we will definitely do mass printing of is a poster, and that we would mail out lots of posters to county welfare departments and regional centers and local health departments and district offices of legislators, et cetera. That's our current thinking, is that that's the piece that's hard to print out and maybe could be okay without being customized, although we leave room for people to put a sticker on as they might. But that otherwise flyers and brochures, people can print on their printers, and we're going to want to customize. So that's the current thinking. We will again be consulting with the outreach work group to make sure that works for folks.
Okay. And then one last question on this topic, and I promise we'll get to policies. So a lot of research shows that one mailer, like a postcard, is not enough. Any thoughts on follow-up outreach or another mailer?
Yes, that is an excellent question. I'm sure, yes, we all want to do a follow-up communication. I think there's a question about whether that comes from the state or whether that's county by county. And there's a question about when, and there's a question about, so that question is teed up next for what is phase 2 of outreach. When we get, say, 3 months in and see how we're doing, are there gaps that we want to address with either a statewide mailing or a certain demographic or a certain channel, or is it really concentrated in a few counties that we can help with additional coordination? So on our mind is a question to ask, but definitely not answered. And again, outreach, this will be a question for the outreach advisory group.
Okay.
Is the mailing going to be language compliant?
We're working on that too. It's actually, it's an informing, an informational message to the SSI community. So we're working on what are the requirements, and what are the effective messages, and what do we need to be meaningful access. We don't have the ability to target, to know the person on SSI wants materials in Cantonese and ensure that they get a Cantonese postcard. So it's an issue we are working through. Okay.
All right, so transitioning over to some policy and technical questions. The first is, when can we actually start to apply? What is the messaging around that June 1st date?
Yeah, several people in this room have been working on this messaging. Who wants to, idea, the policy change effective June 1st. June benefits are the first benefits that are available. I'll take a crack at it. Applications will be accepted in May, but there are no May benefits. It's June benefits. And so I think that's something that, counties will be working those cases in May, but there's no real reason to apply in May, and the fact of the matter is we'll be ready for June 1st. So we are encouraging people, June 1st is when we're ready. June benefits are the earliest you could get, but applications will, as a technical matter, be accepted in May. Would anyone from either the coalition or CWDA want to try to answer that question with more nuance or accuracy?
I thought we agreed to not try and give a more nuanced answer because it makes things more complicated to talk about the particular kind of circumstances.
Yep. So in the room, we're just talking about how complicated it is to provide an answer more nuanced than that.
So what's the answer again?
Try? Who wants to try?
And I think the other piece that we've talked about. Sorry.
Yes.
Can't hear.
Christiana Smith from CWDA. The other piece that we've talked about is we really encourage folks to check locally with your local county about what their messaging plans are around this so that it can be coordinated. And particularly, if there are how folks can apply that are more specific, things around timing that are more specific, we think it would be great if everybody could be on the same page around that so that we don't add more confusion, because the more we do dive into this, like Andrew said, it starts to get pretty complicated because there are just a lot of different variants that have to do with the timing of when somebody applies, the timing of when the automation changes go in. They get really complicated.
So it's definitely true. It's definitely true that as of June 1st, everywhere, yes. And June benefits are the earliest benefits you could get. Some places, some counties, there'll be some May messaging that's appropriate, but it's very hard to encourage that at a state level.
You know, we brought contact. The contact list of the county, we should contact the county, which is great. The contact list.
Yes, the question of who the key contacts are at the county. Both CDSS and CWDA can help with that. Yeah.
Okay, so the next couple are kind of in the same bucket of questions we might get from clients and how we might think about responding to them. So related to this June 1st date, is there any advantage for a person to sign up for CalFresh as soon as possible? Meaning, would you lose the opportunity to access benefits if you waited for a period of time after June 1st? And so I think that's an important technical point that on or after June 1st, SSI recipients will be eligible for CalFresh. So whether you apply on June 1st or July 10th, because you decided that's the date you wanted to apply, you would still be eligible moving forward after the change.
Moving forward, right. So obviously if you apply in July, we're not going back and getting June benefits, right? So just to be, right.
From the date of application.
From the date of application forward, so that's right. So, but there's no, this is not tax season. This is not open enrollment season. This is the future.
Yeah.
Anytime after June 1st, welcome.
I think from a policy perspective, what we've been reminding folks is after this change takes place, in the world of CalFresh, SSI recipients are no longer special. They are treated like elderly and disabled applicants under elderly and disabled rules for CalFresh. So you basically become one of many. No special rules. Okay. Here's another question of these things that might come up for clients. How long would it take on average for me to receive my benefits after I apply?
Well, so let's start with compliance. CalFresh benefits need to be determined within 30 days of the application date. Medi-Cal's 45, CalFresh is 30. And if you are in immediate need or need expedited service, zero resources, other categories, 3 days. 3 days for determination. That's the compliance. And I would say last time I checked our average daily processing for folks, even though 30 days is the compliance, we were hovering around 10 days, right? It depends on there's many people who get through in one day, other folks who get through and take a full month, complicated families, complicated income. I do think we need to be clear about what's happening this summer. Who remembers what happened with the Affordable Care Act? Rolled out, okay? This is a massive expansion of a CalFresh program. Hundreds of thousands of people will be coming over the coming months. And so one of the things we'll be watching is as we have this huge one-time workload, we're going to be watching, are we staying in compliance? How quickly are we serving people? We know counties are planning for overtime, and hiring ongoing as well. So those are the rules, 30-day and 3-day. We will all be doing our best to meet that, and we also are aware we're going to have a huge one-time expansion to absorb to get through this. And again, I say one-time because many of people coming in, because of the elderly disabled rules and our elderly simplification project, will be on a 3-year certification period and only have an annual report and never interview again. And we're going to stagger those 3 years. So we will never have this pile up like we have this summer, and perhaps into the fall, to be clear. So timeliness is of top concern to counties, to clients, to the state as well, but that's the realities and the parameters we're working within.
Okay, another very popular question. I've received it quite a few times, and we've talked about it before, but we'll bring it up again. What are we saying in terms of the average benefit that people might expect to receive?
This is a favorite topic. Let's start with the basics. The benefit for a household of one could be as low as $15 a month. How high can it be? $192. Let's just give this room a prize. So the range for a household of one is $15 a month to $192. That's a big range. Okay. In California, we see that households of one are above $130 a month, but that's because we don't have people in SSI in our caseload yet. Nationally, households of one elderly are about $105 a month. Households of one for the person with disabilities are $110 a month. Where are we going to be by the time we bring SSI, but you work that standard medical deduction, you work that uncapped shelter, you work that dependent care deduction? Did I forget any? Those are the big three. I don't know. So that's the math, and I think we have to be careful about messaging. We don't want to raise expectations. We don't want to set people up, but we want them to know it's worth it. Worth it. So we are really in active dialogue about what's a helpful number to provide to clients. And welcome all feedback on that. Give a range.
So the question that we're hearing answers in the room are give a range. I'm hearing 120 in the crowd. Just to make sure folks on the line can hear, we're talking about the average benefit messaging.
Yeah.
And just to add in the...
Please, Andrew, come up to the room and introduce yourself.
Andrew from California for SSI. As Alexis mentioned, under the SNAP, the CalFresh, the elderly and disabled rules, the 3-year certification period will be available to vast number of households too. So that emphasizing that even if you're getting $15, then the only benefits being on.
And let me build on that.
Yeah.
It's my sales pitch. It's not only 3 years, but if you work the medical deduction up front, it holds the full length of the 3 years plus any 3-year certification after that. So the benefit of bringing in your medical expense verifications, your receipts, the first time you come in holds through the length of time that you're with us. You always have the chance to increase that deduction, but if you at least bring in those $35 on the day of application, receipts for $35, run to Walgreens, get your antacid, bring me the receipt, and let's get that deduction in place. Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a couple of technical questions I'll be able to answer for folks. So there is a question here for those SSI recipients that are receiving the additional $84 restaurant meals allowance. Will that continue when receiving CalFresh benefits? And the response is yes. There will be no change to the restaurant meals allowance through the SSI SSP benefit program, just like there's no change to your SSI or SSP benefits.
Although that is making me think, are we including client education about the CalFresh restaurant meals program availability? Yeah, we should include that as well. The ability to use your CalFresh benefits at a restaurant if you are elderly, disabled, or homeless. Yes. So yes, again, crosswalk of the two programs. So thank you for affirming.
Yeah, you could receive your restaurant allowance, and in participating counties, you could also use your CalFresh benefits at participating restaurants.
It is very important, yeah.
Clarify question on the same topic.
Same topic, I promise. Becky Gershon with CAFB.
I'm wondering with the restaurant meals program, say there's a mixed household where there's one SSI recipient and a couple others who are not, how does restaurant meals work?
So right now, if you have an RMP eligible member in your household, your EBT card has been activated for use at those restaurants. Yes.
For the household?
Yes. The household's EBT card works at restaurants. Okay. If you have a qualifying member in your household. And a qualifying restaurant in a qualifying county. So I think also, I know I've seen it on the draft materials and maybe thinking about in more info on RMP being linked and available for folks. Okay. So another technical question that I'll take, for households that have both SSI and non-SSI income, will the SSI income count prior to June 1st, or are benefits calculated based on income, including SSI, after June 1st? So, because the change is happening on June 1st, if you're an ongoing household with an excluded SSI recipient member, nothing will change for you. That income and the member is excluded from the household when determining eligibility. Only after June 1st would we take into consideration the member, the income, as well as their share of shelter expenses and other deductions. So that June 1st date is both about adding the member and adding that person's income, shelter expenses, deductions, etc. Okay, there are more. Yes, we have a question in the room. I'm going to ask Amy to come up and ask it on the microphone. Thank you. Hold on 1 second for folks on the line. Go ahead. Go for it.
A question about that. I want to point out that it will not be automatically added June 1st.
Correct.
Only when they're up to their STAR 7 or RR,
Yes.
or if they choose to.
After June 1st. I just hired Amy, my policy team. She is correct. There is a nuance there.
Right.
For ongoing households, it's on your household effective date,
Yeah.
which is a rolling date. Thank you.
There's a mixture of people that don't want to add it until they have to, and there's some that are biting at the bit to add it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good point. Good one. Good. All right. This is just an interesting question. We'll make sure we're all on the same page. So since California was the last state to allow SSI recipients to receive CalFresh, where is the money coming from to fund the CalFresh benefits? So the actual CalFresh benefits for SSI recipients will be federally funded, not to be confused with our two new programs, the SMB and the TMB, and those are state-funded nutrition benefit programs.
And just to further, CalFresh is an entitlement. SNAP is a national entitlement. It's not subject to annual, unfortunately, it's subject to shutdown, but it's not subject to appropriations or discretionary. So once you have that entitlement, that benefit is pitched. I will say there's, it's in the news a lot. The president has a new budget proposal, so there'll be that misinformation to kind of go out there. Oh, what does all that mean? But no, SNAP is with us. SNAP is an entitlement. SNAP is funded. No impact, nothing that clients should be concerned about at this point, except to become SNAP advocates, of course.
So this is a comment / question, and I'd say almost for the whole room in terms of brainstorming messaging. We're starting to hear that folks on the ground may be receiving misinformation about how much they'll get in CalFresh, or, for example, the fact that their SSP would go down when we know that is not the case. So strategies from folks in the room or ideas about how to squish that misinformation as we head toward implementation.
And if I may put
Yes.
Marty Emoto on the spot, because we were just talking about this in the hall. What are you hearing? Marty, can you introduce yourself and then say what you're hearing and how you're thinking and advice you'd give?
So Marty Emoto, CD Canos, a family member. Yeah, I'm hearing questions on that. I know that a lot of the advocates in the room have been trying to get word out, but people are still getting that misinformation. So the more that repetition of information that we can get out, I think the less nuance, the better. So like the, starting point of June 1st, it's better to say that than trying to nuance May 1st, the benefit issue, the range, or something. Maybe you guys can come up with a good response to the, what's my average, what would be the average benefit? I think the the flat-out answer regarding about no reduction in the SSP portion is really important to get that out, because that wasn't really clear when the budget was signed, even though it was pretty obvious it was, but a lot of people thought they would get. So whatever, I think repetition, whatever we can do, and less nuance.
Yeah, we've been amazed at the number that, I think my favorite, and it's always danger of repeating myths, but one of the ones that was the most surprising to me was that SSP was the food. And so a lot of people, long-timers, think, oh, if you're giving me access to CalFresh, you must be taking SSP. Yeah. Oh, what training, where, what time ever said SSP was the food? But you're right, we're tipping into a lot of long-standing held beliefs. So I like the repetition, keep it simple, be clear about the date, be clear about the dollars. Well, that's our postcard advice we just got. Let's all kind of continue to reflect and dialogue about that. That's super helpful, Marty. Others who want to chime in on that? You got it, Marty.
And tips and tricks always welcome, so
yes,
send
please.
them our way. Okay. So this is a question that follow-up to something we had mentioned earlier, the staggered certification periods. So those shorter certifications, how will those be determined? So for anybody who applies in the first 6 months of implementation, so from June 1st through November, you will be assigned a certification period that is shorter than 36 months based on your case number. The last digit of your case number will determine whether you will be certified for 35 months, 34 months, 33 months, etc. Those charts are all available in the all county letters, but basically this process will be automated, and the system will also automatically shorten one of your reporting periods. So one of your periodic reports will be due in less than 12 or 6 months, 5, 11, and so on. So that has all been built in. So there's nothing for the client to do other than to keep their due dates in mind, and they will be informed of those. And there's nothing for the eligibility worker to do other than to inform the client of those due dates. It will be in the system. Okay. So I will just say now we are getting more questions that we're going to be able to answer. So keep them coming, but we'll follow up. Let's transition to some data questions about, well, no, I'm sorry. Let me say a couple more on the topic of policy. So will SSI recipients be able to apply in April?
No.
And the answer is no. So already we talked about that nuance for May, but definitely do not tell people to apply in April.
Household that is not with us, apply now. Apply anytime. Don't wait.
If
but
you
if you're SSI only, if you apply now, you'll be denied for the current 40-year policy.
Yeah. So if you cook and prepare food with folks who are not SSI recipients and you yourself are an SSI recipient, you can apply as a household.
Even if you don't. You may be an excluded member.
You may be an excluded member.
We're still open for business.
Okay. Some of these are also very complicated. We will be following up
writing
to understand exactly what it is that you're asking. Let's get to some of the questions from our cards in the room. Here's one about Get CalFresh and the data tracking that's available from that system. So we know that Get CalFresh, the online application tool, currently tracks some information about application volume, etc. Can those metrics also be applied to the share of applications received from SSI applicants? So basically, can we look at expanding data metrics?
Yes, we will be tracking, as we always do, number of apps received, number of approvals. We are working very hard to be able to track the SSI-only apps received and approved through any channel. And that's going to require some ad hocs and some queries, and we're working through that to have that for the dashboard. We also have particular tracking on online apps, because online apps is where we get worried, if I can use this term, about spam, right? The last thing we want is a flood of online applications that create work that aren't actually real clients in need of access. So we track those particularly closely. From not just Get CalFresh, but all online applications. We have great metrics from the CalWin counties. We are close to LA, and we have some challenges with C4 in getting actual approval rates. But that is a very important metric for us to make sure we're maintaining applications that are quality from eligible clients, and then also that we're able to finish the process. Of course, an online app is only step one. verify and interview, step 2 and 3, and make sure. So we'll be monitoring. Those are our 2 key numbers, right? Number of apps that came in, number that were approved. That's the headline we need to be tracking.
Okay, so another question on metrics for implementation generally.
Yes.
When will you be sharing the metrics that will be used to track or monitor implementation? Advocates have shared recommendations. Are these being reviewed?
Yeah. So we are very much crosswalking what's possible. As I mentioned, I think we're all pretty clear we need to have application volume and application approval. Thank you to our colleagues, shout out in the back, from research and fiscal, other folks working on the data, and our SOS partners to figure out what we can have. We're looking at what we can have monthly, what we can have quarterly, what we can have annual, what we can have real time, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to need to be landed, I'm going to say out loud, the data technical work group in April, because here we go live. So much work underway.
So another kind of follow-up question, we mentioned earlier that we will be sharing aggregate data with our counties regarding their SSI recipient population. When will those be sent to the counties and to who?
So that's not aggregate, that's the individual list.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yes, this is what wrong.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, correct that first.
So, yeah, so this is the individual list of SSI recipients by county. Again, as we said on the slide, the decision is made to provide March data. We're still in March. So April, the month closes out, clean it, and then a secure file we provided to each county with only their county SSI recipients for the purpose of targeted outreach and assistance to try to close that gap of who can get CalFresh. So we're targeting May.
So targeting May, and then for counties on the line, just to reaffirm that data is not to be used to make eligibility determinations because it will be old by the time you get it. Instead, it's for targeted outreach and evaluating how well you did at implementation.
Yeah, per usual, the data will be in MEDS, the current data that you use for eligibility as you do now, so that isn't changing. And then the other piece, a reminder to counties, we've asked for your point of contact for all of this SSI implementation. This is one of the many things that we're going to be doing with you all, so thank you in advance for letting us know who you are so we can communicate clearly and quickly.
Okay. And then, again, last call for your written questions. We won't get to them live, but they are being recorded, so send them in. Before we wrap up, I'm just going to make a shout out per Jeffrey in the room's request that just so everybody knows, tomorrow the Budget Committee at the Legislature will be hearing discussion, I'll say, on this topic. So if you're not able to come, you can watch it live on Cal Channel. So do connect to see what your elected officials are asking on the topic.
Yes, and testifying on the topic will be CVSS, WDA, and Western Center. So come one, come all.
And April 11th.
And April 11th, CalFresh. So lots happening at the Capitol on this topic.
And Marty will be there too.
Yes, watch live for live entertainment. Okay, so there are a few questions left. Like I said, we have them recorded, but I want to make sure we have enough time to wrap up, and I'll hand it back to Kim.
I think we are and we're good. Are there any other burning questions either that we haven't addressed? We absolutely will track and follow up on outreach, policy, data, partnerships. Jeffrey, you want to come on up?
Okay, well, this is a separate system, but I'm hearing dealing with payroll right now is as they're doing some adjustments for next September of the electronic visit verification. The last 2 months now, the last 3 days, having to reboot for payroll. So just checking is see if there's any commonality of tools that are coming up as problems in dealing with, is it so independent, this system, that there's going to be nothing to interfere with it?
The only thing I know is that the 2 top agenda items are that topic and this topic. So I know they're both 2 topics, but otherwise they are totally two top of the mind, top burner, urgent issues, but separate policy, separate automation, separate workforce, no intersection. I'm checking, but I can't think of any. Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey.
The last I'll add to that is because I know that just happened with dealing with security functionality agreements expiring.
Yes.
So making sure that, none of you are having expiring June 1st. Okay, just remember through there because that will stop.
Time. We just asked all the counties, does everybody have enough EBT cards on hand? We are just asking those basic questions. No question is too small, this is the time to ask them rather than June 15th. So if you have any thoughts like that in the middle of the night, I don't know, if you're thinking about CalFresh expansion, please email us up. We're happy to track it down, check it off, and make sure we're as ready as possible. So with that, we'll wrap. Oh, Andrew, last word.
Call it for urgent questions.
Yes, let's do it.
Andrew with the coalition, we heard some of the speakers talk about just the time it's taking to execute some of the IA.
Oh, yes.
And so just wanted, I think there's some urgency behind when are those going to be done, and what is going to be, we're certainly hearing at the local level that the information that locals can't engage, cannot share information, et cetera, just to use aging as one example, if that's not executed at the top.
No, the good news is, and this is part of why we went with interagency agreements, they will be dated March 1st.
Okay.
Even though they're not fully executed, that's how contracts work. Yeah. So we are communicating do I have it right that all the assisters got the onboarding email communication saying, welcome, here's the web thing. Okay, good. So we got the webinars, the onboarding invite, not DDSS yet because they're so new. But yeah, people should be able to work and claim starting March 1st. Okay. Yes. When the actual agreement is executed, I'm not going to be able to commit to. So we are agreed to a March 1st start date for them. That's awesome. Yeah, these are really important. Yes, these are the kind of things that we have to nail down right now. Okay, with that, we want to end on time, but please, we'll stay around after for discussion on the phone. We got your questions. Email, always welcome. We will be working with you in work groups and otherwise, and see you in 2 months or at the hearing. Thank you.